Welcome to Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway. Before we get into the topic of my next program, I'd like to thank some supporters of mine out there, particularly the Murray Boys. That's what I'm going to call you guys. Brian and Bobby, the Murray Boys. You've been a great support to me here on Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway, and I appreciate it. So anyhow, Yes is my next topic, the progressive rock band Yes. What can I tell you about Yes? Am I a big fan? No. Do I have a lot of their albums? Yes. Yes, I do. So, not all of them. I'm going to show you what I got. So Yes formed in England around put out their first album, 1969. John Anderson on vocals, Chris Squire on bass, Bill Bruford on drums, Peter Banks on guitar, and Tony Kaye on the keyboards. So they did two albums, Atlantic Records. And I'm going to play you a piece of one of them. From their first album, from the Yesterdays album, which was a compilation that came out later. Now, it wasn't a success. Neither of their first albums were successes. They did some original tunes, they did some covers. And on their second album, they incorporated an orchestra. Their second album being Time and the Word. And their guitarist, Peter Banks, he wasn't too keen on that, having an orchestra. He just, wanted to do, a rock and roll band format. So he left the group after their second album and formed the group Flash. He did a couple albums with Flash. This is their second album, Flash in the Pan. Had some minor success. But Yes was on to bigger and better things. So Yes is looking for a new guitarist, right? So they wind up with Steve Howe. But let me tell you a little bit about Steve Howe's journey to Yes, from what I know. Now, he was in a band called Tomorrow, did a really cool song called My White Bicycle. Got to check that out. And he was looking for another band to join, and he was auditioning. And Vincent Crane and Carl Palmer of the Crazy World of Arthur Brown had recently formed the band Atomic Rooster, and they were looking for a guitar player. And they weren't having much luck. And Steve Howe came into to audition, and Vincent Crane and Carl Palmer were like, all this fancy stuff. No, we need a freaking rock and roll, guitarist. So anyway, so they passed up on Steve Howe, but luckily for Yes, he joined Yes, and they came out with their third album, the Yes album. Now, I first heard this album at Shotzi's house. Shotzi, yes, thank you, Charlene. Charlene, she has a great taste in music, and she introduced me to a lot of music when I started hanging out at Shotzi's house. It's what we did on the weekends. So they came out with the Yes album with Steve Howe on guitar, and all of a sudden it's a huge success. Huge. So, but Tony Kaye, he didn't want to do all that fancy synthesizer stuff, although he did have a Moog on this album. He had his reasons for leaving Yes. So Tony Kaye leaves Yes, starts his own band, Badger maybe. Is that right? Badger. So not a great thing, but great for us, because just so happened that Rick Wakeman, the keyboard player, was wanting to do some more fancy things with he wants to show off. He's a great keyboard player, and certain acts lend to certain players. And so Rick Wakeman left the Strawbs after doing 2 albums with them. This being the second one, From the Witchwood. Great album, some great Rick Wakeman organ on this album. If you haven't heard it, check it out. There's also the first time Rick Wakeman used the Moog synthesizer was on this album. So anyhow, Rick Wakeman joins the group. They put out Fragile. Ooh, cool cover. Nice artwork on the other cover, but this is a cool cover. Roger Dean is doing the covers for Yes now. You might have recognized Roger Dean from a couple Uriah Heep albums, Obasa albums. He was doing a lot of album covers back then, and Yes employed him quite well. Fragile, huge album. Huge tracts of land were on this album. Yes, I mean Fragile with Rick Wakeman. Wow, he's really like lending a whole nother, level to this band. So, what do we got here? Let's just hit this. Let's just get to Stump the Jamie, number 1. Who's the Jamie anyway? That me?
Dude, look in the mirror.
Oh, all right. Oh, yeah. What book? Oh, we'll get to this later. Shortly. Of course, I don't know the answer to this question. What book inspired the 4 movements on the Tales from the Topographic Ocean? What book? I don't know. It was like a Hebrew, not a Hebrew, it was a Hindu book of some sort, of the 4 things of something. And
someone in your fandom will know.
Someone out there knows the answer to this question. The 4 somethings of something is the Tales from, we'll get to that in a minute.
Such
the
a
Tales
hint.
from the Topographic Ocean.
Such a hint.
So, but the hint is it's a Hindu book. I know that much. And it's like 4 different things. 4 different,
right.
things. So what's the answer? 4 different, what book? I don't know what book. Tell me.
You're stumped.
I'm stumped.
Just say it.
Write down a, answer.
Say you're
a little
stumped.
jot out, on that page there that we're all looking at, hopefully. And so, don't know. But before we get to Tales from the Topographic Ocean, what is that anyway? Anyway, before we get to that, Close to the Edge. Remember? Really big album for Yes. Another Roger Dean cover. Nice gatefold cover. Roger Dean interior. Really good album. But, alas, Bill Buford is not happy. Drummer Bill Buford in there from the beginning. Something, I don't know what it was. He didn't feel he contributed to the album. I forget. I think I read about it. But Bill Buford leaves Yes. But that's okay because King Crimson gets a new drummer. Bill Bruford. So Bill Bruford played for King Crimson for quite a while. And they put out some great albums together. So check out some King Crimson. This album, Lark's Tongues in Aspic. The album after this was...
Ooh, Aspic. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's bad,
Aspic.
right?
Ooh.
What is that? I don't know. What
Ooh,
is
it's
that?
this
Aspic?
like gelled kind of food that I tried to make.
Really?
Julia Child.
Oh, so this is like some sort of like food, Lark's Tongues in Aspic.
Look at my face.
You learn something new. If you could see her face, it's not like, oh, that's a great thing to have.
I tried to make it. Ooh.
Yeah, I'm glad it wasn't Lark's Tongues. I'm not eating any lark, okay?
In Aspic.
Yeah.
Forget about it.
So anyhow, Yes is out for a new drummer. Who did they get? Alan White.
Oh.
Alan White. Straight out of the Plastic Ono band. If you want to know who was playing that really awesome drum in Instant Karma, Alan White. Joins Yes. He's been with them ever since. Believe he's the longest member of Yes. Unfortunately, they lost Chris Squire. So they get Alan White, and they put out Tales from the Topographic Ocean. Now, I got this album out of my inventory. There's something about this album I didn't like. I don't know, maybe it was just too long. You know, it was just like 4 songs, one side per song. The Ancient, Ritual.
Everybody has to do this.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to do one of these.
Yeah, but, you know.
I'm going to do one.
It's a Yes album. You do one. You do one of these. I'm going to do one. No, I'm just going to stick with this. But the Tales from the Topographic Ocean. You know, it was really successful. People loved it. Just not one of my favorite albums. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it. I haven't sold it yet. But I was listening to it the other day, and I was like, what is it I didn't like about this album? I don't know, but I'm going to play you something I did like about this album. Whoa, that's still spinning around up there? Hold on.
Stand by.
Gotta very gingerly put this record away.
Stand by, people.
By the way, all their albums are on the Atlantic up to this point, and then they started doing these fancy little album labels. Because once you become really successful, you can say, "Hey, I want some good-looking labels on my records."
It looks like a sonogram. What is it?
Well, it's just the cover, actually, of this particular album, Yesterday's, and it's kind of like what's on this Tales from the Topographic Ocean is also the cover of the album. You know.
Mm.
So Roger Dean gets the cover and he gets the label. So I'm going to play a little thing from Ritual. Now, if you've ever seen Yes, yeah, I know, Peter, you've seen Yes 100 times now? My friend Peter out there from Long Island, from the neighborhood. Peter's a big Yes fan, and this is for you, Peter. But if you've ever seen Yes, of course you get this from listening to the albums as well, but Chris Squire was a hell of a bass player. Really interesting bass playing. I was playing this the other day and I heard this and I was like, wow, let's talk about this. Let's see if I get it right. You like that, right? I mean, come on. That was really good. But alas, things just can't go on forever with Yes. Things have to change. Rick Wakeman was like, this was John Anderson and Steve Howe's thing. Tales from the Topographic Ocean. I want to do something I'm a little more involved in. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm leaving the group. Now, while he was with Yes, he did this great album, The Six Wives of Henry VIII. Did it with members from Yes, members from the Straubs. Great organ, a lot of, Mellotron, and just a great album. And he, when he left Yes, he did the Journey to the Center of the Earth, which was with an orchestra, and he had a narrator, and he didn't want to do it with big name musicians. He just wanted to hire some of his own guys, and got somebody from War Horse and somebody from another, lesser known British band, and they did Journey to the Center of the Earth. But before we get into the next keyboard player to join Yes, I don't have Journey to the Center of the Earth, by the way. I have sold it several times though.
Not surprising.
But in 1971, Yes made its first U.S. tour as the opening act for which group?
You should know this.
Oh, 1971. First tour, huh?
You should know this.
I should know this. Wow, first Opening act. It's not who you think it would be. Right? Right? Yeah, that's not who you think it would be.
Right.
So I don't know who I think it would be. I don't know. Let's say,
Throw it out to the fans.
throw it out. Do you know? Well, I'm thinking like Led Zeppelin or somebody like that, you know. Not Jethro Tull, because that would fit more up. All right, right now, Buddy, the dog, is underneath the tripod. So we're going to try to back him out very slowly.
Buddy, back out.
Without shaking
Buddy, back out. You can't
the
come
camera.
You can't
hold the tripod.
You can't come this way.
If you know the answer to this question, shake now, right?
Nicely
done.
done.
Very good.
Yeah.
Come here, buddy. Come here, you.
Buddy gets a
If
treat.
you know the answer to this question, who did Yes open for in their first U.S. tour in 1971? I mean, after their first 2 albums, Atlantic was like ready to drop them. But of course, the Yes album was a huge hit. A lot of people thought that was their first album, the Yes album, right? Sounds right.
It was hot.
Right. But anyway, it was the third album, and finally they're a hit, and they're going to just be a hit for the rest of the century, apparently. So, Yes is out for a new keyboard player. They pick up Patrick Moraz from Switzerland, and they put out Relayer. Relayer is a really good album.
I love that cover.
Yeah, good album. And the artwork is not colorful, different. Sets it aside. Let's see what the label looks like. Oh, yeah, nice little red and gray Relayer, album cover label. Good album. Patrick Moraz on the keyboards. But alas, Patrick, they tour for a couple of years. They stick together, I think, the band for a couple of years, but they didn't put out an album. By the time it got around to putting out another album, Patrick Moraz was like, I'm leaving. I don't know what he did. But eventually, he resurfaced as the keyboard player for the newly formed Moody Blues. And replacing Michael Pindar, who didn't join Moody Blues when they reformed in the when is this? The 80s, early 80s. So, but that goes a little beyond the scope of our program. It was several years that passed.
It's all connected.
Oh yeah, it's all connected. They're all connected. Everybody's connected. So, anyhow, so what happens? Oh yeah. Who's back in the band for their next album? But Rick Wakeman. Yeah, I'm not doing anything. Put out a couple albums. I had success. I'll join the band. I like doing the band thing. Roger Dean is gone. No Roger Dean on the album covers. It's like some artwork with a naked man. Okay. All right, I'm open. Turns out, really good album. Some really great stuff on this album. And something different here. At least I thought so. And I just want to play you a little bit of it. Oh, the album cover, the label is, still has that artwork from the cover on it. 1977 this came out. Going for the One. And what I wanted to show you here is Steve Howe might not have been, the rock and roll rhythm and blues guitar player back in 1969, but apparently he's picked up a few things and opened up his horizons. And listen to this. Listen, see? Oh, there we go. Is that like slide guitar I'm hearing? Slide guitar in Yes. Yeah, they can do it all. They want to do a rock and roll tune, they're not beyond that. Some nice slide guitar. You like that
I
one?
love that.
It's a good album. Yeah.
Is that in your inventory?
Going for the one. Yes. No. I do have one in the inventory.
May I purchase it?
No. Oh, really? Yeah, it'll cost you. It'll cost you. But no, this is from the collection. The only ones from the inventory. We're gonna talk about the inventory again in a minute. But the Yesterday's album's in the inventory. Might want to get their first album, but I don't know. I need that particular compilation. And Tales from the Topographic Ocean was still up in the air on that one. I'll have to play some more. But no, the rest of these albums, right from my collection. You know, cherished vinyl.
You never know with you.
But no, we don't. Here's the thing. Once in a while, I'll buy something from myself. And when this album came out, Drama, back with Roger Dean here. That's cool. Oh yeah, by the way, before Drama was Tormato. Another different kind of album cover.
Tomato?
Tormato, not tomato. Tormato. Tell me what that means, people. I don't know what it means. But anyway, Tormato, Rick Wakeman's still with them. It's got that crew. And first time I saw Yes on tour was during the Tormato tour. Ooh, that sounds good, right? The Tormato tour. Help me there. So anyway, they were in the round. They had a round stage. It was at it was in Phoenix, in Tempe. No, it was in Tempe, Arizona, and the stage was going around and round. Great concert. First time I saw Yes. But Tormato. I don't know that album very well. But after Tormato, Wakeman's gone. John Anderson's gone. John Anderson leaves the group. So not only do they need a new keyboard player, they used to need a new keyboard player, right? They need a new singer. Oh, look at this label. Just a regular old Atlantic label.
Boring.
So this is what Atlantic does. If they don't, you're not going to sell like 500,000 copies in 6 months or 6 weeks. They'll just give you a regular old cover. Now, what was I going to play from this? There was something about this I wanted you to hear. And because this is one of these albums that Trevor Rabin, no, not Trevor Rabin, he comes later. Trevor Horn on vocals and Jeff Downs on keyboards. They come from the band The Buggles. And The Buggles had a big hit with Video Kills the Radio Star. Remember that one? Video Kills.
Don't make me
It's
sing.
kind of like a new wave thing. It's like, and I was like, what's that new wave, musicians joining a freaking progressive rock group. We called it art rock back then, by the way. Now they call it prog rock. But it just didn't seem right. But guess what? They're musicians. They can play more than one thing, if they're any good at it. And they might want to play more than one thing. They're not playing the same thing all the time. But anyway, these guys joined Yes. And then the song that I heard on the radio, you probably heard it. It's Into the Lens, I Am a Camera. Didn't appeal to me. But then I saw Yes in concert recently. I say recently, like 6-7 years ago. That's recent in someone from my generation, right? And they played this song, what was it, something Maniac? I'll tell you in a minute. They played this song, Machine Messiah. Yeah, Maniac. Machine Messiah. It's like, wow, that's a really great song. I never heard that before. From the Drama album. Turns out it's a pretty good album. So I take it from the inventory. I buy it from myself. I give myself whatever I want for it in cash. And now I got my own record from the inventory. Now it's mine. Now it's in my beloved collection. So what is this? Okay, so maybe I missed the exciting part there. But you get the idea. It's still Yes. Doesn't matter who's singing, who's playing the keyboards, the bass, All right, well, maybe the bass. But the guitar, it's Yes. They put out some great music. Drama was a great album. But is this,
It's the last
are we
one.
going from the last one?
It's the last one, and you
All
got,
right, we're
and
getting
you
toward
got
the
this
end.
one. You're one
Stump
for.
to Jamie, number 3.
You're 0 for 2, so
I'm over.
you got
No,
this.
didn't I guess? No, I wasn't. I didn't guess. I wasn't right.
You'll get this though.
I'll get this one.
This is
Ah.
so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh yeah.
no.
Yeah.
No, I was thinking about it.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. It's like. Remember I mentioned that the Yes does covers on their first couple albums? What Beatles song did Yes cover on their debut album, Yes? Now, I know the answer to this question. It was kind of, but I don't know it. It was like,
0 for
what
3.
was it? Everything she does for me. Yeah, there you go. And you heard it.
I knew it.
What's the name of that song? Everything She Does.
Yes.
All right, here you go. I got it. Everything She Does. No one's beyond playing a Beatles song, man. Right? Because the Beatles were wonderful, and if a band is coming out and they want to do
It's actually
they want to
every
cover a song,
it's
they're gonna
actually
do the
every
Beatles.
little thing.
Will you get out of there,
It's
buddy?
every little thing.
Every little thing. Every little thing?
When I crinkle the paper, he thinks I have
She
food.
does for me.
I understand the confusion.
All right, let's try to wrap this up before Buddy knocks over the camera. All right, so
Buddy, you can't.
what happens? Jeff Downes is out. Jeff Downes and Steve Howe, now that he knows he can play the guitar like a rock and roller, he doesn't have to do all this, abstract progressive stuff all the time. He's like, I'm going to form my own rock band, Asia. So Asia with Jeff Downes, Steve Howe, John Wetton from King Crimson, back there on that same King Crimson album. He was also in Uriah Heep, and Carl Palmer from Edmondson Lake and Palmer, the guy who turned down Steve Howe back when he auditioned for Atomic Rooster. Anyway, so Asia comes out. They're like, they put out tons of records. Roger Dean cover, Asia, cool. So Yes doesn't make albums for a few years, and they decide to get back together, but they need a new guitar player because Steve Howe's doing his Asia thing, so they get Trevor Rabin, a South African guitar player, and they're like, well, who do we know that can play the keyboards? Hey, maybe I don't know how this happened, but I'm making this up. Hey, maybe John Kay is available. He was really good on those first 3 Yes albums. So lo and behold, John Kay rejoins Yes. Trevor Rabin is playing the guitar. Trevor Horn, the singer from the Drama album, is now producing. He's a producer. Then you still got Chris Squire and Alan White. And they put out this 90125. That's like the catalog, part of the catalog number. But I like to call it 90120. The 90, right? Like the TV
Beverly
show.
Hills.
What?
Beverly Hills.
Right.
You were a fan.
90120.
You were a fan of.
What? Yeah, big fan.
90120.
Oh yeah. No, but it's easier to remember than 90125. Can you get any more creative with an album name, or an album cover? Where's Roger Dean?
Yeah, that's icky.
Right? But hey, you gotta
Pie
kinda
chart.
do some different things. This way, when Roger Dean comes back, and he does, it'll be more interesting. But what happens here? A number 1 hit single? Yeah. Owner of a Lonely Heart. Big, they're like they got a top 40 hit. Not only a top 40 hit, I think it was number 1. So,
Had a sound.
and they just keep going. They reform with this. Sometimes they try to get too many Yes people together on one album, and like one called Union. It's too many people. I might have saw that tour. I saw this tour. Me and my friend Joe. Hey, Joe, remember that? At the Forest Hills with the tennis court. place there in New York City? Remember that? Is that the name of it? Forest Hills?
Yeah, where they have
Tennis?
the open. Yeah.
Thank you. Give me some,
Well, I thought you were
Sometimes I
talking
don't
to
know.
Joe. I thought you were talking to Joe. I don't know.
No, Joe, do you remember Forest Hills? Sometimes I make up names of things that I don't really know. But yeah, Forest Hills, I saw Yes there with the 90210 tour. With a bunch of people from Beverly Hills were up there dancing. And all right, none of that happened. But is that it? I don't have any more Yes on vinyl. That's my Yes on vinyl. They did a whole bunch of more records, but when this album came out, it was CDs. So from here, vinyl I got this album from Joe, matter of fact. He bought it on CD, and he sold me this one. I was like, I don't need no stinking CD. Of course, I wound up getting CDs like everybody else after a while. But now they're back on vinyl. They're still putting out albums every so often. I saw them a few years ago. They had a different singer. Forget the guy's name. Steve Howe was with them. Jeff Downs, Alan White. Chris Squire was still with them, but he passed on shortly after that. And I don't know what they're doing now, tell you the truth. I'm sure Pete knows. Tell me what they're doing. Share it with the audience. Anything else you want to see? Should I do that Uriah Heep show? I'm thinking that would be a lot of fun. But I got some other ideas coming up of what shows I'm going to do. But that was my Yes collection. I think I covered it all. Really, really good band. Let's wrap it up. Subscribe, comment, share this with your friends. Share this with your friends' friends. Share this with my friends.
Joe.
Joe's on board here. Bobby, freaking Brian, they're on board. Pete, we'll talk about this later, Pete. But anyhow, this was for you guys. Really appreciate it. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube, yeah.
Check us out.
Check us out on Roku.
Hey, Roku.
Tony Trumbo World. Jamie's Vinyl Hideaway on Roku.
We're gonna have to learn how to write on the screen.
All right, can you write on the screen? All right, that's it. Say goodbye. Later,
Goodbye.
man. Move it.